stay indoors until the government deemed it safe to be out on the streets again. Multiple whisperings and mutterings later, the crowded market had finally quieted down as every shop had shuttered and people retired for the night. A young Marwari businessman who had just opened a snack shop in the Katra Lachu Singh area of Chandni Chowk a year ago welcomed a night of respite after months of hard work. He hoped to get back to work in the morning, fresh and feisty after the curfew was lifted. The businessman and his large joint family lived on a lane adjacent to the Gurudwara Sisganj Sahib above a Sikh baker's shop. His wife and kids and brother's family had all reached home by the time Manohar Lal got home, settling down for a family meal on the floor of their tiny, cramped living room. It had taken months of cajoling his father and grandfather to move to Delhi and then endless 18-hour workdays to set up their small 8 by 11-foot shop in Chandni Chowk. Manohar Lal was proud of his achievement and felt thankful to be living in the Rajdhani, his heart filled with the hope of economic promise. Unbeknownst to this peaceful sleeping family, a throng was growing in strength and unruliness that night. Cries of blood for blood echoed into the dark as they grew more aggressive. The cries quickly turned to action as the mobs began to ransack houses and shops in the middle of the night and cut down unsuspecting victims with knives and farmers' sickles. On 1st November 1984, Manohar Lal and his family woke up hoping to hear something positive on the radio, but were instead greeted with the news that dangerous mobs were roaming in the city with a singular chant of "Kill the Sardars." The jovial family felt an eerie unease. Even the 2-year-old Ashish Agarwal became unusually quiet, as though he knew something unholy was happening in the capital. They could hear distant yells of carnage as they huddled together in their tiny apartment with a fervent prayer on their lips for all those on the street. The Gurudwara Sisganj Sahib nearby was being sullied by angry mobs that pelted it with stones in the hopes of getting their violent hands on the Sikhs taking refuge inside. The Gurudwara, one of the 9 historical Gurudwaras in Delhi, having faced much violence in the past, was standing strong once again for its people. Though the popular belief was that Chandni Chowk had always been a place of religious harmony, hundreds of years ago, in 1675 AD, Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb had beheaded Guru Tegh Bahadur in the hallowed square in front of this very Gurudwara for refusing to convert to Islam. A few brave Sikhs had then rallied around their sacred ground and kept it unsullied. On that fateful day in 1984, however, aside from a few brave Hindu neighbors, there were no angels that came to protect the Sikhs. The square outside the Gurudwara was wet with their blood. And in spite of the passage of several years and the trampling of thousands of feet, those stains of injustice have been barely rubbed off even to this day. Manohar Lal and his family felt the fear for the community and their Sikh friends all around, but not for one moment did they believe that they would have as much to lose on that day. There was insanity and an animal-like vengeance in the eyes of the perpetrators. The mobs were armed with iron rods and knives, kerosene and matches. Manohar Lal could see distant flare of fire through the blinds in their apartment and felt his heart cringe at the inhumanity of these vulgar actions. Suddenly, a lick of flame flared too close to home. The family heard a lot of shouting and yelling, and the apartment began to feel hotter. There were urgent bangs on the door downstairs, and he took charge, instantly leading his family out of the door. Something felt terribly wrong. They were all in their nightwear when they dashed down the stairs onto the streets, grabbing only their young ones. Material possessions felt immaterial in that moment. It was lucky that he took that decision. Standing on the street, the family saw a part of their building blow up in an explosion of flames As the fire spread from the